great audience. Thank you very much. That's Let the Lower Lights Be Burning, and here's another hymn that I hope that you enjoy. Thank you. What a great audience. Thank you very much. Here's another one I hope you enjoy. very much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim the Piano Man. I'm a piano player from Memphis, Tennessee, just down the road. I've been blessed to be coming out to perform here for many years now, and I graduated from the University of Memphis to play piano. I love what I do, and I take requests too. So if you have a request, and feel free to raise your hand and let me know what song you'd like to hear. However, if you don't have a request, that's okay too. If you're enjoying the repertoire, not a problem. I started out playing some hymns, and I'd like to continue doing so. So let's continue with the hymns with, what shall we do next? Let's do, oh, I like this one. This is a gospel tune called There Is Power in the Blood. Thank you. What a great audience. Thank you very much. Thank you. Here's another one that I hope that you enjoy. This one's called You Are My Sunshine. Here's another one. Thank you. What a great audience. Thank you. That was a medley. Although we started with You Are My Sunshine and we ended with You Are My Sunshine, so maybe it was a sandwich. A sunshine sandwich. Yes, ma'am. I like the sound of that. All right, how about the Tennessee Waltz? Thank you. Thank you kindly. That is the Tennessee Waltz, of course. My name's Tim, the Piano Man. Now here's one that's called The Stars Fell on Alabama. very much. Thank you. Remember, if you have a request, let me know, and if I know it, I'll play it. And if I don't know it, I'll play something else. Maybe you'd like to hear this next one. So far, we had the Tennessee Waltz, we had we had The Stars Fell in Alabama, so now let's do Georgia on My Mind. Thank you very much. That is Georgia on my mind. Let's see, we've been to Tennessee, we've been to Alabama, and we've been to Georgia. Let's see, let's go north a little bit to Charleston, South Carolina, and we'll do the Charleston. Hey, what a great audience, what a great audience. Just picture yourself on a boat, eating seafood, mussels, clams, lobster, if you like that sort of thing. Here we go. Thank you very much. What a great audience. Thank you so much. All right, we had Tennessee, we had Alabama, we had Georgia, and we're just leaving South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. So let's take the train north all the way to New York City. New York, New York. Here it is, folks. Thank you. What a great audience. We're doing some traveling, y'all. We're doing some traveling. If we're in New York, let's see. Let's go west. Let's go west to the Great Lakes, and we'll land in Chicago. And I'll play a song called, have you guessed it? Chicago. Thank you. All right, folks, we're doing some traveling. If we're in Chicago, you know what we could do? We could hop on the Amtrak train and take Chicago all the way to New Orleans. Let's go. All right. And I'll play a song called Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. Thank you. What a great audience. Thank you very much. That's way down yonder in New Orleans. My name's Tim the Piano Man. Let's see, we got time for a couple more trips today. A couple more trips. If we're in New Orleans, I bet it's not too far to San Antonio, Texas. So I'm going to play a song called San Antonio Rose. Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue this trip across the United States. We had San Antonio, Texas just now. Let's go north, but not too far north, to Oklahoma. And I'm going to play a song from the play Oklahoma, which is about Oklahoma. And the title of the song is, you guessed it, Oklahoma. That's right. What a great audience. Thank you. And now we will end this trip in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm going to play a song called the St. Louis Blues. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a great audience. My name's Tim the Piano Man, and that's it for me for today. Ladies and gentlemen, I do have CDs for sale. If you're interested, just let me know. Either way, have a great day. I enjoyed entertaining y'all. And I especially liked You Are My Sunshine because it matched y'all's springtime tablecloths. Thank you very much. What a great audience.
All right, thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicki. I appreciate it. Good, good. What y'all got planned for the rest of the day?
Taking a nap.
Taking a nap.
Yeah, we already got one starting before we're supposed to start.
Thank you. Well, hey, that's all right with me.
You take naps, Tim?
No. I drink coffee. Because I'm a working man, I'm working right now, I'm in my working years. But if I wasn't doing that, then I'd be taking more naps and drinking less coffee.
All right, Tim, thanks for coming today.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it so much, and I'll see y'all next time.
See you next time on Yeehaw!
Hey, sounded like a TV program, like the TV program was called Yeehaw. See you next time on Yeehaw. Really? Thank you for telling me that. Thank you, ma'am. That means a lot to me. Well, now I'm headed to Milan. Yep. I'm going to stop in Jackson and eat some lunch, and then I'm going to head up to Milan.
You want to go with? Can I go? I'll go back out on the way through.
Well, let's
Yeah,
see.
you won't let me go?
I'll have to charge you a ticket price, though.
Charge me an Uber bill.
An Uber bill, yep. See you next time.
Bye, dear.
Bye.
Thank you.
Beautiful day. Get some AC going. It's pretty toasty. Yes, I am still live. Thanks for joining, everybody. My name's Tim the Piano Man, and I play piano at retirement communities. I do this full time. That was my first one of the day. And yes, I mean no offense, but after I'm done playing, usually I put the phone in my pocket because I want to respect the privacy of the residents at these communities. These are senior communities, and I want to respect their privacy. So that's why I started putting my phone in my pocket as I came out to my car. So during these shows, when I play them, I don't really take requests from the chat. The reason is because, well, three things need to happen. It's not that I never take requests, it's that number one, I need to see it, and sometimes I miss it because if the chat is pumping, if the chat is on fire, then I can't read all of the requests. I can't read all the chats, and I hope that y'all understand. The next thing that needs to happen, though, in order for me to play a request, if you put your request in the chat, is I need to know it. I have been playing piano for 31 years. I've been playing piano for about 31 years. And I have to know it. I know a lot of songs, but there's so many songs that I don't know. So that's the second criteria, is that I have to know how to actually play the song. The third criteria is, and this is the important one, is it has to be appropriate for these retirement community gigs. It needs to be appropriate for these retirement community gigs in order for me to play it too. So that's three different criteria that need to happen. So if you're requesting in the chat, number one, I appreciate it. I appreciate your interest and your faith in me as a piano player, because I know that music is close to the soul, it's close to the heart, and if I know your song, I am going to play it. Provided that I see it, and provided that it's appropriate for the gig that I'm playing. So I get paid to play. I don't actually own a piano, but I get paid to play other people's pianos, which is weird. I'm working on saving up for a studio. So that'll be good. But other than that, I love what I do. I've been playing professionally at retirement communities since I was in college in like 2010. That was 15 years ago. And they started out with the teachers booking the gig, and I think they paid me $50, which at the time I think the standard rate, 15 years ago, the standard rate was about $100. But now that's inflated away, so the standard rate is going up. Anyways, I think the teachers were pocketing like 50%. Now that's pretty high margin there. That's a pretty high margin for a booking fee. I guess what they're thinking is that the students, you know, they don't have the expertise to get that full price, but really the students just, in my case, just didn't have the negotiating leverage or the wherewithal to negotiate. So I took what I could get. Yeah, I took what I could get. So I'm driving to Jackson, Tennessee now, leaving Brownsville, a small town, about an hour outside of Memphis. I live in Memphis, and usually what I do after these gigs is I will read through the comments and do shout outs, and I'll actually read your requests. I wanted to get a head start, however, today, because I don't know if I'm going to have time to read the comments, because it's a weird reason. I've been doing this caloric deficit thing. Like, I'm trying to lean up a little bit, and so that requires me to eat a lot of protein, and the consumption of the protein itself takes like 30 minutes tops, like, and I can't do that if I'm streaming yet. I don't know, some people are into it, some people do it, but I don't know, it's not really my thing. I'd rather talk about things that I'm passionate about and explain what I'm doing so that other piano players could maybe learn what I'm doing. If you're a piano player, by the way, I have a book on Amazon called Easy Piano Gigs, and I spill my secrets. I teach how to do this. Easy Piano Gigs on Amazon. Also, if you're a piano player and you want to get my original sheet music, search Spaceman Full Score. I put the full score to my album Panoply on Amazon as well, and I'm pretty proud of that. The Easy Piano Gigs is selling a lot more than the score. I haven't really looked into how to sell sheet music or what the best way to do that is. Maybe it's not the right pricing or algorithm, keywords, hashtags, that kind of thing, but I don't know. So I'm like 20 minutes away from my destination, so I'm going to keep streaming, and then I'm going to do a couple shout outs, and then I'll get to my lunch, because my lunch is going to take a while. The bare minimum that you need to do these kinds of gigs is you need 50 minutes of music, bare minimum, and it needs to be appropriate for seniors at retirement communities. If you're going to do these kinds of gigs, it needs to be appropriate for them, which, and the appropriateness is changing because baby boomers are retiring. Another subscriber, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, baby boomers are retiring, and what they're doing is they are being themselves, and they are making requests for their music. Now, baby boomer music is a lot different from the music of their parents' generation. A lot different. Culturally, what was happening in the United States is when baby boomers were were getting to college age, there was the Vietnam War. And the Vietnam War in the United States sort of split the consciousness, because a lot of the hippies, the baby boomers, protested against the war. And there was a lot of music, a lot of popular music that was being made at that time, rock and roll, that was also protest music, and they would use the music to protest the war. However, a lot of people were for the war because one of the big issues at that time was communism and the United States' role in combating communism worldwide. There was people that said yes, we should do it, and there's people that said no, we shouldn't. Not to mention, I think the particularly gnarly point was the draft. that drafted U.S. citizens to go fight in the war. Now, I can understand why that would be looked upon poorly. I wouldn't want to be drafted to fight in a war that wasn't my own. Although there were people on the other side, and I'm kind of vacillating between points here because I think that each side has valid points. People on the other side were operating under the assumption that a war against communism was a war against the United States and against the way our form of government. So I understand that perspective as well. I just don't think it was appropriate to draft citizens to do that. Although, who was it that did that? Was it JFK? I can't remember exactly who got us into the war. I'm pretty sure that Lyndon Johnson had a lot to do with it, though. Yeah, I need to do a little bit more research into the history of the Vietnam War. It's interesting. I love history. I'm a history buff. And I like reading about it. I like learning about it because it informs my worldview, and I think that it's worth doing. I think learning about history is worth doing. But anyways, the reason that baby boomers' music is different is because a lot of that music was protest music for the Vietnam War. And baby boomers are retiring now like thousands a day. And some of them are moving into these retirement communities. Some of them aren't. Some of them are totally cool, like living on their own or whatever. But a lot of them are moving into retirement communities, and so they want to hear the music that they like, which is different from the music of their parents' generation. Now, an interesting fact about retirement communities is that if you look at the demographics and you look at the age groups, you have people that are just retired. They're 62, 65, 67, and they are just retired. Many of them live with people that are of the previous generation, 20 years older than them, 25 years older than them, 30 years older than them. Yes, there are people that are 95 and that are independent and living in independent living. So that means from an entertainer's perspective that they're going to get requests for music spanning those 30 years or 40 years. There's a lady at one of my gigs. She got up and shook her thing, and she was 104 years old. Can you believe that? Hello again. Small Idiot 362. Thank you for joining. Thank you. That's my first shout out of the day. I started, usually what I do when I'm done with my gig is I will play the show and then put the phone in my pocket to protect the privacy of people at these communities. And then, after I put the phone in my pocket, then I'll sit in my car and do shout-outs and read the comments and the requests. But I didn't do that today. I just put the phone in my pocket and then I hit the road because I want to make it to Jackson. That's right, I'm going to Jackson. I'm getting pretty close, actually. Nice live. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, my friend, what is your name? Can you tell me your name in the different script, in the English script? I want to be able to do a shout out, but I can't. I'm chagrined. I can't read your name. I don't know that script. Is that Japanese? I'm curious. Yes, unfortunately, I can't read Cyrillic. I can't read Japanese. I cannot read Arabic script. I know enough Spanish to say like 3 sentences, and that's about it. Juan. That's my best. Thank you for joining. Retirement communities. I am talking about the different generations in the United States of retirees. So people that retire have a different taste in music. And so for me as an entertainer who plays piano at retirement communities, it is appropriate and necessary for me to educate myself on the taste, the musical taste of everybody that's retired, and that includes people that have just retired, the baby boomers, and people that have been retired for 20 or 30 or 35 years. Now, what's interesting to me is I wonder, so America is a capitalist society, democratic republic. So a lot of these communities are for-profit investments. And that's really interesting. Retirement communities produce income, and there's different ways to invest in a retirement community. You can buy stock. Some of these retirement communities are public companies, so you can buy stock and you can earn dividends. Some of the big ones, I believe, are public and I think have dividends. Brookdale, I don't know if they have dividends, but that's one of the big ones. So you can buy stock. Another way to invest is you can buy a REIT. So a REIT is a real estate investment trust, and that's an investment vehicle that invests in in a whole spread of retirement communities, health and rehabs, hospitals, income-producing properties, multifamily, and so they have it's like getting a mutual fund to buy a big swath of the stock market, but you're doing it in real estate, and REITs are required to pay out 90% of their profits to their investors. So that's another play. If you are a big institutional investor or you're a private investor who's sitting on a lot of cash, you can get into the real estate retirement community field a couple different ways. One of them, and I'm going to shout out Residential Real Estate Academy, one of them is buying small residential properties, turning them into multifamily properties, and renting it out to a management company. So you would get the rents, and then a management company would run the place for you, so it'd be more hands-off. So you would get the rents, and then the management company would run it for you. So that's a small multifamily. So you'd move people in there, or the management company would do that. They would accept the liability, and they would run the place, and you would just own the real estate. Another way to do it, and I've seen nurses do this as an investment, is they would buy their own house, say like 7 bedrooms, outfit it to accommodate 7 residents, and then the nurse would take care of them, and they would pay other nurses to take care of them too. So that's the hands-on approach. So that's for small multifamilies that turn into residential real estate for seniors. That's one way to get into it. Now, you don't need a ton of money to do that. I preface this by saying that's for institutional investors, but the institutional investors and the high net worth investors or institutions or funds would basically do the same thing, but with larger property. So whereas the individual can do a hands-off approach or a hands-on approach with 7 or 12 multifamily, like a small multifamily, you can do that by saving up some money and putting a down payment on a house, and then either converting it, or if it's already outfitted, then you don't have to convert it. That takes a smaller upfront investment. A larger multifamily, what a lot of people are doing and have been doing for a while, is investing in the large senior housing communities. And just like the smaller ones, you can do it hands-off by just buying the real estate and then renting it out to the management company or leasing it out. I'm not sure exactly how those deals are structured. Or you can own both the real estate and the management company, which is the more hands-on approach. Now, you could do this solely and finance it, or if you have the funds, if you have a lot of money, or you could pay it in cash and then get all the income coming in. Now, what's interesting about that is, I don't know if a lot of people do that. A lot of investors will use leverage, which is a strategy in its own. In other words, you put a down payment, and then the bank finances it based on the amount of rents that are going to come in, which is fairly common. this could be, if you have a lot of money, this could be a one-person play, or one institution or business play, or it could be a syndication. So if you have like 100, or maybe you have $1 million and you want to invest it somewhere. Well, if you and 10 other investors or 20 other investors each put down $1 million, then you'd have $10 or $20 million, and you can buy a large multifamily. Or you can put down a fraction of that and get the bank to put the rest of it in. So it's an interesting industry. It's an investment vehicle. People do this. They get into it to make money. And I'm interested in that aspect. However, I'm nowhere near there. Right now I'm working. I'm exchanging my time for money, playing piano, doing something that I love. I'm a piano player. But I'm aware of how it works. And the reason that I'm able to do this is because from the rents, like every institution has their costs. Their income is coming in from the residents. So they're incentivized to take care of the residents, and that's a good thing. They want people to be happy. They want a good quality of life. Ooh, I just ran over a tire. I think it's okay, but anyways, that's what that sound was. They want a good quality of life, and part of that involves being entertained. So what I do is I fill the gap. A lot of entertainers, a lot of activities directors don't know how to book entertainment. So I fill that gap. I shorten the distance between them needing entertainment and me providing good entertainment that keeps the residents happy. So there's a lot of bad entertainment out there, unfortunately. And it's not intentional necessarily, although sometimes it is. There's musicians that get in there and do the wrong things. And those wrong things, you can check out my YouTube video, I think it's called The 5 Biggest Mistakes That Musicians Make at Retirement Communities. One of them is playing too loud. Playing too loud is going to mess you up, and you might even get booed if you're a musician. And I've seen it happen. Some musicians get in there and they have this attitude that they're just going to wake up everybody. I don't know where they get it, but it is the wrong attitude and it's the wrong approach. Don't do that. You have to be really judicious, because half of the audience is going to want something that's chill and relaxing, because they're old and they don't want to party. They are about their inner peace and about their wisdom, and they don't want to party. But half of the audience might want to party. So what you got to do is you have to play both sides of it, and you have to be judicious. And this is an art. Also, too, what I've learned in my time playing piano at retirement communities is they're not always going to tell you directly what they need, which is confusing. Sometimes the activities director wants everybody up and dancing because it looks good for their marketing. But maybe they're a new activities director and they don't know. Old people don't have the same kind of stamina that they do. Maybe they just don't know that. So they'll try to get everybody up dancing, but then after one or two songs, after a minute or 5 minutes of dancing or 10 minutes of dancing, seniors, they need a rest. So you as a musician need to be aware of that, and you have to play a chill song after all that boogie. And activities directors, they might not know it. They might be new to the job. They might not understand that the audience needs that cadence. Old people say play old. Oh, old songs. I didn't see that. Yeah, they want to hear songs that are relevant to them. And it's not, and it can be done in a way that's still interesting to the piano player, to the musician. If you play guitar, it needs to be done in a way that's respectful to the audience and interesting to the musician. That's the only way it's going to be sustainable. So the way that I created, I call it the creative jazz piano method. Basically, because I'm a jazz guy and I like to improvise, I take familiar songs to them, and I'll play the melody, and then in the jazz style, I'll improvise over it, and I'll make up melodies, and it's a lot of fun, and I get to be creative. and they get to be entertained, and they get to go somewhere musically that they haven't been before, that they didn't know. And it's great. And that's what I do, sometimes multiple times a day. In fact, today, y'all, I'm playing 5 shows. I finished one, and I'm gonna go eat some lunch, and then I'm gonna play 4 more shows today. Each one is about an hour long, and it's not even like full time. It's intense, physically intensive work. So it's strenuous, but I eat healthy. I make sure I get enough protein and sustained energy. I take my vitamins. I keep myself in good shape. And I do the job. It's work, y'all. It's work, but it's enjoyable work. It's enjoyable work. It's something that I love to do, that the world needs, that the world will pay for. What's the other one? There's like 4 factors here. Something that I love to do, that I'm skilled at. That's the 4th one, that I'm skilled at. Something that I'm good at, that I love to do, that the world needs, that the world will pay for. If you can find something to do that has those 4 factors, then you will live a good life. You will find your place in society. Something that you love to do, that the world needs, that pays you, that you're skilled at. So, I'm going to speak on that for a little bit. I'm approaching my destination, but I think I can get my thought out before then. If you don't have all those things, my opinion is that what you need to do is you start at the skill. Start at the skill. If it's something that you love to do, but you're not good at it, then keep doing it and you'll get better most of the time. And sometimes it takes a while to develop a skill, but focus can shrink that time. So once you have a skill developed, then the key is to find out who will pay you for it. And really, what the world needs and somebody to pay you for it, that's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. Now, what the world needs, that is more of like a broader vision and mission. But start with something that somebody will pay you for. Because if you can get paid for something, then you can sustain a pivot of skill development if you're getting paid to do it. Because getting paid to do it increases the amount of time that you are able to do it. So you can evolve that skill. So at this point, if you have 3 of the 4, if you are getting paid for your skill, for something that you love to do, you start somewhere, you get good at it, you get better at it, and then it can evolve and develop into something that the world needs. Because what the world, in my opinion, what the world needs is mastery. The world needs highly competent and skilled people doing what they do to the degree that it makes the world a better place. But in my opinion, you need the skill set first, and then it has to be good enough so that you don't even really need to enjoy it at the beginning. Start with a skill, develop the skill, get paid for the skill, and then you can grow to love it. You can grow to love it. If you don't love it at the beginning, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe, and I don't mean that to be like, I don't mean that to dishearten you. What I mean is that there is a degree of enjoyment that is derived when a skill is developed that's not necessarily there in the very beginning. So you have to get enough reps, enough iterations doing something, enough lessons, enough time studying it to get it to the point where it's even enjoyable, because it sucks to not be good at something. So you want to get through that as fast as possible. But once you're good at something, it gets more enjoyable. And so once you're enjoying it and you're good at it, you're going to want to do it more and then develop it. And once you develop whatever skill it is to the extent where you can get paid for it, then you can master it. And what I believe that the world needs mastery. The world needs people that have mastered skills. Okay, that's my spiel. Thanks for watching, everybody. I don't have time to do shout outs today. I'm sorry, but I appreciate everybody commenting and liking and subscribing. My name's Tim the Piano Man, and I'll see y'all in the next one.